Welcome back to Sexy Clown's Garage. In this video I will show you how to do a 2006 Infiniti FX35 rear brakes. So take the wheel off, obviously. Next you go back there to push the piston, or you can take the bleeder cap off and you put a flathead inside the vented slot where the rotor is right here and push it so you could make some room in there to move the caliper back and forth. And when you take the caliper off, it'll make it easier. Push the piston in over there. Next thing you do is you get some butter sauce, aka WD-40, and you put on the bolts, especially on the bleeder right there. There's a cap, rubber nipple. Just pinch the nipple and pull it out. So that's it for a little bit. And you go ahead and take these bolts out. We're replacing the rotor and the pads on this car, so you could just skip the part of the rotor if you're just doing the pads. And a good way to tell if you need a rotor is you slide your fingernail over this, and if you got like a little lip over here or it feels a little wavy, that means you need to get your rotor cut or replaced. Alright, now to do just the pads, there's two 14mm bolts on the head of the sliders here. So you can go ahead and crack those loose. And now that you took the top one off, you don't have to take the bottom one off. You just take that slider out from the bracket. Pop that out. You can slide that over. And now you can just do these pads. You can just change those. But now, since we're changing the rotor, we have to take the whole bracket off. Let's do that now. This one you put a 3/4 inch wrench, and you put another wrench over here for leverage, because that's pretty tight on there. Then you start pulling. Oops. Let's see if we get this right. Yeah. Just like that. I'm gonna go ahead and take that off. And this is it right here. This is what I was doing. That holds the bracket in. Now you don't have to do this when you're changing the pads. You just flip this open like I showed you and change the pads. So it's taking the rotor out, we gotta do this. So I'm gonna go ahead and take that out now. Alright, now that you loosen both those bracket bolts, you just take them right off and this whole thing comes right out. One assembly. Now you can take this rotor off. Make sure when you take the rotor off, this has the e-brake is drum discs in here that hold this in place. So make sure the e-brake is not on, and that just slides right off. You see these are the pads where the e-brake goes on over there. So now for the new rotor. Alright, before you take this off, or if you already took it off, you could just put the two bolts back on hand tight and crack the bleeder open a little bit right there and just close it back up so it's ready to bleed it. So alright, so first thing now you do is you crack it open and you put your catch nipple on it. So you crack that open. Not being very friendly, but okay, it's cracked. Alright, now you put your brake pad splitter in here, put an old brake pad over there, and as you're cranking it down, it's pushing the piston in. And as you can see, the brake fluid is coming out as you're cranking down. Now if it's not cranking down, that means it's seized. You gotta buy a new caliper. And I actually have a video on my channel on how to change this caliper, so watch out for that. And once you push in all the way, you could crack the bleeder closed, and you're done. You're ready for the new brake pads. Right now you put the new rotor on. Fits like a glove. Alright, now we're gonna take the slider off. Put that aside, we can clean that up with brake cleaner. And take this off. And that, you could lightly sand this down if it's got a little surface rust. Clean it with brake cleaner, and put some grease on it. So now we're going to clean this bracket up over here with some sandpaper. That's where the tabs of the brake pads go. Once we clean that up, spray some brake cleaner on it. You can also do that with a little bit with a flathead screwdriver to clean that. Go ahead and wipe that down now. Now you could use some KY jelly. Oh, sorry, I meant a brake caliper grease. Same thing. You put that in there in the track and the brackets. It's all about the lube. And now you could install this bracket back on. Goes on the inside of that bracket, and you just put the bolts in. Those are 3/4 inch bolts. So you can move this bracket around if you can't catch it, so it catches. Put the bottom one in now. So we're gonna tighten those down. These need to be extra tight, so you might want to do that trick again to get extra leverage to tighten that down over there. Now if you forget to clean the rotor, you just spray this on the car, and there's a slot on the other side where the brake pad goes. You could just go ahead and turn this. You could use a, hold on a second. You could just turn it like that as you're spraying and just clean it. And wipe it down with a rag and you're done. Alright, now we're going to clean the slider a little bit with some fine sandpaper. You don't want to go too crazy here. If it's questionable, the rust, then you should really get a new slider and put on here. So we're going to go ahead and do that on this slider. And this one looks good, so we're just going to put some brake cleaner on this and wipe it down and clean it. And then we're going to lather it up with some braking caliper grease. Don't forget your lube. Clean that up, wipe it down. And lube that puppy up. Be generous with the grease. And do the same thing with the one the other side. Alright, now you can just slide this one side in if you want. Right there. And it should go in and out smoothly. Yep, just like that. Make sure you put the boot back on the bolt over there, on the slider. So, that's it. And we're gonna do the slider now. Alright, we already went ahead and just popped this brake pad in, as you can see there. We'll show you how it looks like from the front to pop the front one in. It's the same as the back there. So we're just gonna put some disc brake quiet in the back over there, and this is the front. They just pop in like that. And make sure you put the ones with the sensor in the right spot. Make a note which one has a sensor, which one doesn't, so you can put it back exactly the way it was. I'm putting some disc brake quiet back on these back of the pads. Same thing on the other side. Like I said, if you're just doing the brake pads, you could just slide this over and just pop them out and put the new pads in. And now we're gonna lube up and clean the slider, and we'll pop that in. So we're gonna go ahead and spread down with brake cleaner, and same procedure, and lube it up. Now that you're greased up, the slider. You put it in place. Just pop that sucker right there. And make sure this boot is positioned right and it's not open to the elements. Gonna go ahead and tighten those bolts down. Now we're gonna tighten the top one. The bottom one we didn't loosen, so we'll leave that one alone. Alright, now we're just gonna bleed the brakes. So I have a video on my channel on how to bleed brakes. You don't have to, but I like to do it. I recommend doing it every brake change, brake pad change. So you pretty much have somebody in the car sit, press the brake pedal a couple times, and hold it down, then crack it open, and you should see brake fluid come out. So now they're pumping it a couple times. Now they're holding it down. We're gonna crack it open. See the brake fluid come out, close it, and then they can start pumping it again. And make sure you're mindful of how much brake fluid you have in the master. And when you fill it back up, make the brake fluid, make sure it's on the maximum level and it's not over it, or else you can spill out. So thanks for watching. Subscribe to my channel. You know you want to. And check any box underneath. Like me, share me, do whatever the hell you want to me. See ya.